Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, tonight's video, I'm gonna tell a story about, one of the many funny things that I've been witness to with me and my friends, and I got thinking about it the other day, and I was like, hey, you know what? This is the story that maybe people can relate to or have witnessed, and if they can't, then you know, well, here's my story. So, back when I was in my teenage years, many years ago. I was probably 19, and there was one of my neighbors lived in a house behind me, and he was like in his late 20s, and we were like probably 19, 18, 16 in that area. All of us varying in range and age and stuff, but we used to go back there and party, that was our spot to go party with, and he didn't mind, he didn't care. So one night we're in there, and it's me, a few of my friends, and one of my friends is this big guy. He's like, he's probably like 6'2", 300 pounds in that area, like big dude, and he was like the youngest of all of us. He's like 15, but he was like a party animal, right? So we're drinking beers, kicking back, listening to music, just partying. And he had just started chewing tobacco. He was relatively new to it, but that was his new thing that he was doing. So we're drinking Coors Light and taking shots and smoking some of the funky stuff back in the day. Marijuana, whatever you want to call it, weed. Just partying. And so it's getting towards the end of the night. And I look over at him, and he's making this face like somebody who drank like some bitter beer. And I was like, man, what happened? Did your beer turn bad, or what's up? Like, you don't like beer anymore? And he was just like, like that. He couldn't even open his mouth. And then I notice he's got his beer can in one hand, and his spitter in the other, and his spitter was an old beer can, like an old Coors Light can. And I right away I just put it together. I'm like, bro, did you drink your chew? And he just kind of looked at me and nodded his head yes. I'm like, dude, like, how much did you drink? He's like, man, I thought it was my beer, so I chugged it. So he ended up chugging his spitter, which was probably like, full of spit and tobacco. So you can imagine how gnarly it was. All of a sudden, he's just like turns green, dude. And we're all watching him. There's probably like 10 of us there, like partying. And and I'm like, oh shit, dude. So I move, and everybody on the couches and sitting around him moved, and we were just like, oh, dude. All of a sudden, like this projectile vomit. Like, I've never seen vomit shoot so far, and it was just a lot. It must have sprayed at least maybe 6-7 feet. And it just did like a straight line from his mouth out, and then as it slowly was like stopping all over his shirt. And I was like, dude, it was ridiculous, because like you could see what he had eaten for dinner, because it was like beans and meat and just everything that you could think of. And I mean that's the most puke I've ever seen in my life at one time. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because we were talking the other day at work over somebody was talking about how they used to chew, and every time I hear anybody say that they used to chew, I think of that story, because I'm sure a lot of people that have chewed, if you ever used a spitter that looked like something you used to drink, I've heard stories about people accidentally drinking or taking a sip out of somebody's spitter. And I thought about that story. So he had to get his clothes had to be washed and all this stuff. But we all lived pretty much in the neighborhood, so he lived like 6 houses down, and then all of a sudden, he had to take a shower and stuff because he was just covered in puke before he went back home. Because you gotta remember, we were all kids. We were like 15 to 19, and my homie, who was like this 6'6", the guy whose house we're partying at, He's like this 6'6" skinny as a rail dude, and my homie's like 6'2" and like 300 pounds. So the only extra clothes that he had would fit him was like this crazy sweatsuit, and it was pretty tight, but it still fit him. And then all of a sudden, like his grandma came knocking on the door, like, is Shane in there? He needs to come home. And we were just like, oh shit. So, you know, Shane, he gets up and goes to the door to leave, and she's like, where's your clothes? He's like, oh, I don't remember the damn excuse he gave, but it was the most ridiculous excuse. And she's like, oh, okay, well, you want to take them home with you, the clothes? Well, they were in the washer being washed, you know, so like he's like, oh no, they're being washed right now. And I think about that night because, like, you know, we were all pretty, like, you know, buzzing and messed up because, you know, we were partying, and I don't know how he got away with not getting in trouble. Like, not at all. Like, didn't get busted. His grandma wasn't any wiser. And I think about that night because there were so many nights, like, not with, like, juice drinking or anything, but, like, where, like, we would go home and just, you know, be, like, just pretty messed up and just, you know, doing things that teenage kids our age do. You know, nothing too crazy, but, you know. But yeah, so we were talking about, you know, bad habits that people have, like chewing and smoking, and because, you know, that's my bad habit is I smoke. Wish I didn't smoke, but I do smoke. And when they talk about chew, that's what I think about. I think about that story. And there's a bunch of, you know, I got a bunch of stuff like that story. We're just like weird stuff, funny stuff had happened to us, and it's hard to imagine, but you know, like that same dude, like it must have been like a couple weeks later, did the same damn thing, but this time he didn't chug the whole spitter. He just took a drink, and I'm like, bro, you really need to change your method here, because if you puke in my ride, I'm gonna be pissed off. You know, like, you know, you need to figure something out. After that, he started only using clear bottles for a spitter, and it's worked out pretty good for him. Well, you know, I don't know if he chews right anymore because I haven't talked to the dude in a while, but you know, and I know, I listen, you know, people always have, like, you know, cool, you know, stories from when they were a kid and stuff, but I mean, we just had, I guess we had a really good childhood. I mean, if you consider, like, partying when you're, like, teenagers a good childhood, but I mean, I think a lot of teenagers do that these days. It's just we were more safe with it. Like, we didn't drive, we didn't go to random houses and do it. It's just we were lucky enough growing up in the country. We always had, you know, a place to go, and I think a lot of times some of the funniest things that's ever happened in my life is back in those days, because it's just like when you're young and you're trying to get away with stuff you shouldn't be getting away with, the weirdest, stupidest shit always happens to you. And you know, I'll tell more stories here down the road. I'm not trying to, you know, fill the whole night with, like, stories and stuff. But that was something I wanted to share with you guys, because we were talking about that stuff at work, and bad habits and all that stuff. And it's like, I mean, I've tried chewing a couple times and I hated it, and I can't even imagine drinking your spitter. It's like, my God. But it happens. Sometimes people try to do it on purpose to other people. I've heard stories about that, filling up beer bottles with spit and then putting them in the fridge and looking to see who's the unlucky person to pull the beer. You know, because, like, some beers are, you know, the bottles are got that tan color, so you can't really see what the liquid is inside of it. I've heard some pretty gnarly stories about stuff like that, and thank God I didn't have friends like that, because we'd probably be fighting on the real. But yeah, so that was my one story I want to share with you guys. Like I said, I got other stuff down the road, but tonight that was what I was thinking about, because of course, you know, that's what we were talking about. And you know, I've shared with some people that I started shooting videos for YouTube, and they're like, so how are you doing it? And I'm like, I'm just doing it. Like, I'm not scripting anything. I don't have no $1,000 camera or anything. I'm using my freaking Samsung, shooting my video. I'm not editing nothing. You know, I don't care if there's mistakes in it, because there's mistakes in life. So I don't plan on changing anything up. And plus, I really don't know how. I've never messed with anything for editing or inserting little things here and there. Like, you know, people will put pop-ups in their stuff, and, you know, cut scene and add here. It's like, dude, I'm not messing with that stuff. I don't know what to do with it. I ain't trying to mess with it. So for now, these are my videos. Maybe down the road, if I get good at stuff like that, if I get time. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. Like, I shoot these videos at night before I go to bed, because I got to work tomorrow, and I got a little girl, you know, that I got to take care of, and I really don't have a lot of free time to, like, invest in learning how to do that at this time. But, you know, maybe down the road. You know, I enjoy watching a lot of YouTube when I get a chance. You know, I shouldn't say I get to watch a lot, but I enjoy watching YouTube when I have free time. And you know, some of the staples for me, like, for a lot of you guys, might be like Angry Grandpa. I like to watch him. You know, Boogie, I like to watch him. You know, those are just a couple. Mostly, I like to watch fails. I watch a lot of fail videos. So that's really what kind of inspired me to do YouTube. It was just, I was like, if these people can have a voice and people are willing to listen, then I was like, well, why not give it a try, you know? I mean, I don't expect to make any money at it like those guys are, you know. Most of all, just because I don't have free time to plan the shit like they do. I mean, I'm not saying their stuff's fake, but I'm not saying it's all 100% legit real either. It's just funny, you know? And I don't have a crazy grandfather or dad. And, you know, I don't have a weird voice or impersonation that Boogie does with Francis, you know? So, you know, I don't have it, but I figure I'd be me, and I'd just be real. You know, and then, you know, that might not entertain enough people, but this is more for me and my venting and my, I don't know, it's just a way for me to have a voice, I guess. Because I think so many times we listen to what other people have to say that we forget sometimes to speak up and say what we need to say on our own little platform, you know. So this is my platform, and you know, I've only got like 6 videos, I think, maybe 7, I don't know, and it's not like I don't have subscribers, I don't have likes or stuff like that, but what I do have is I enjoy it, you know, like when you put yourself out there, like, you always have to worry about what people say, but I've never been that kind of dude. I told my coworkers, I was like, yeah, you know, I'm putting up videos on YouTube, and they're like, well, what's your screen name or whatever it is, your profile name or whatever. I was like, man, you guys could search it out and find it, because it's different when you're talking to people who you don't know. You don't really care, you know, like what they think or anything like that. But when someone you know sees your videos, and, you know, you start thinking, oh, damn, I wonder what they're going to think, or blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, you know, if you guys find it, you find it. But I'm not telling you guys about it, you know, like where to go. Not because I'm embarrassed. It's just, if it's, I don't know, it's awkward, you know, like when you tell people you're shooting a video yourself to put on YouTube, a lot of times they're just like, oh, this guy thinks he's going to make money doing it, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I'm going to make money doing it. If you come in with that aspect or that mindset, you better have a really, really good plan and enough free time to do something like that. And that's not me right now. Probably never. But anyways, I hope when you guys, if whoever watches this, I hope you enjoy what I talk about. And if it's not your cup of tea, cool, man. You know, there's plenty of other videos on YouTube that probably are. All right, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I got to get up really early tomorrow. So, peace.